Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, PVSM, AVSM, NM, as he joins us on stage along with Admiral Karambir Singh, Chairman NMF, and Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, TGNMF. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with a palpable sense of privilege that I now request Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, the Chief of the Naval Staff, to address this assemblage. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to the Admiral.
Check. Okay. Can you hear me at the top? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. His Excellency Dr. Philip Ackerman, German Ambassador to India and Bhutan. His Excellency Mr. Indra Mani Pandey, Secretary General BIMSTEC. Excellency Sri Sanjeev Ranjan, Secretary General IORA. Admiral Karambir Singh, Chairman National Maritime Foundation. Principal Staff Officers from Naval Headquarters, Flag Officers, General Officers, Air Officers, large number of veterans, senior veterans, friends from media, distinguished audience, people who have traveled the seas, over the seas, and have taken pains to come and take part in this edition of IPRD. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It is indeed my privilege to welcome you all to this edition of Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue, IPRD 2025. It is a vital expression of our strategic outreach. It is equally heartening to have over 30 delegates from friendly countries. Thank you very much for coming up. This diverse participation reflects a shared belief and collective conviction that the Indo-Pacific's future must be shaped together through dialogue, cooperation, and mutual trust. Ladies and gentlemen, across centuries, the seas have been humanity's oldest highways, carrying not just commerce and culture, but curiosity and courage. From shaping the fortunes of nations to scripting the future of humanity, the seas have always been the truest measure of our shared destiny. Reflecting this sentiment, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, had stated last year, and I quote, "Oceans are a shared heritage for nations and societies, as well as the lifeline for international trade. Today, the security and prosperity of nations are intimately connected to oceans," unquote. This statement reaffirms the timeless truth that the prosperity of nations and peace upon the seas are inseparable. However, in the turbulent era of fluid alignments and fused challenges, maritime security can no longer be viewed through the narrow prism of threat containment. Rather, it needs to be understood as what Professor Reichmann called as a dynexic challenge that is both dynamic and complex. Let me highlight three currents that define this dynamicity. First, commercial disruption. Global seaborne trade is showing signs of strain due to conflicts, coercion, or catastrophe. According to a recent report, global seaborne trade growth is projected to stall to 0.5% in 2025, a sharp drop from 2.2% in 2024. Such contraction does not merely indicate slowed commerce, it signals strategic fragility. The Red Sea crisis has demonstrated how a single maritime choke point can ripple across global freight indices, insurance premiums, and food prices. Second, transnational turbulence. The seas are witnessing a surge in activities that blur the lines between competition, crime, and conflict. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, piracy, arms and narcotics trafficking, and human smuggling, etc., have emerged as major maritime stressors. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, IUU fishing activities are responsible for the loss of 11 to 26 million tons of fish every year, which is estimated to have been valued between 10 to 23 billion US dollars. At the same time, smuggling networks are increasingly exploiting ungoverned maritime spaces and weak enforcement regimes to move narcotics, arms, and other commodities for financing terror networks and fueling instability ashore. Rising sea levels, extreme weather, and marine pollution have added new dimension to transnational maritime challenges, threatening both lives and livestock, especially for small island developing states. The maritime domain thus mirrors the wider disorder of our times, demanding collective solutions that transcend jurisdictional and cartographic silos. Third, technological acceleration. Disruptive technologies have dissolved the traditional barriers of scale and sophistication. Artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and commercial satellites are now reshaping maritime awareness and response strategies. Yet, technological acceleration also brings vulnerability to cyber intrusions, signal spoofing, and persistent surveillance. In the Indian Ocean region alone, recent IFC IOR, more of which I'll talk later, that assessment recorded near daily episodes of GPS jamming and electronic interference. Together, these currents make the maritime domain dynamic, reminding us that maritime security and maritime growth are not two parallel tracks, but twin propellers that drive our collective voyage towards peace and prosperity. As the seas grow more interconnected and indispensable, so too must our strategies. It is in this context that India has elevated its maritime vision from Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region, to Mahasagar, or mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions. This evolution from sea, that is Sagar, to ocean, that is Mahasagar, signifies both expansion of scope and depth of purpose. As the principal manifestation of India's maritime power, the Indian Navy remains at the forefront of operationalizing our maritime vision. Towards that, we have been spearheading multiple endeavors in concert with our friends and partners in the region. This year's IPRD is accordingly conceived under the umbrella of Vision Mahasagar and is aptly themed to capture the trinity of holistic maritime security, regional capacity building, and capability enhancement. These are essential levers to navigate maritime dynamicity. In a way, this trinity is also crucial to sustain other pillars of the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, or IPOI. As we deliberate on these during these dialogues, I would like to highlight Indian Navy's perspective on each of these enduring pillars. First, holistic maritime security. The maritime commons today face pressures that are no longer isolated or episodic, but complex, compounded, and continuous. To navigate this environment, maritime security must be viewed not as a linear construct, but as an interconnected web, spanning domains, disciplines, and dimensions. A truly holistic approach must therefore integrate deterrence, governance, law enforcement, environmental stewardship, and humanitarian response into a single continuum of purpose. At the same time, the concept of holistic maritime security also recognizes that challenges at sea are often local in character. Therefore, our responses too must be context sensitive, where one size may not fit all. The wider Indo-Pacific, therefore, demands regional and sub-regional approaches that respect local realities while reinforcing shared objectives. Holistic security must reconcile inclusivity and individuality, enabling every nation, large or small, to contribute according to its capacity while drawing strength from collective purpose. The Indian Navy is guided in this by this approach, which is exemplified in endeavors like the Maiden Africa-India Key Maritime Engagement, or AKIM, exercise conducted with 9 African nations in April of this year. At the same time, the Navy's Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean Region, IFC-IOR, which is located at Gurugram, has emerged as a shared information hub in the region. Through seamless communication and cooperative response to multiple contingencies at sea, IFC-IOR has endeavored to overcome information asymmetry with information equity, resulting in International Maritime Organization designating as a voluntary reporting center. Whilst the center currently hosts 15 international liaison officers who are doing stellar work in information sharing, our aim is to enhance the capacity to host about 50 ILOs by 2028. Considering that holistic maritime security is both an enabler and an equalizer, going forward, we need to craft region-specific initiatives and solutions tailored to meet specific needs of the region or a country. Second enduring pillar, capacity building. In naval parlance, capacity is tangibles, expressed in terms of hulls, airframes, ports, logistics chains, and industrial ecosystems. It represents a nation's ability to remain present and persistent at sea. But viewed regionally, capacity must be distributed and complementary, where strengths are pooled and shortfalls mitigated through cooperation. Here, the successful mating of Indian Navy's Deep Submergence Rescue Vessel, or DSRV, with foreign submarines during the recently concluded exercise Pacific Reach demonstrated how individual assets can augment collective assurance across the region. Another critical aspect of capacity building is interoperable communication and information sharing architecture. It is in this spirit that the Indian Navy has designed the Nishar Mitra terminals for sharing intelligence and information, which could be gainfully utilized for seamless communication between friends and partners. India's own experience underscores the capacity building cannot be an insular enterprise. It thrives on partnerships through joint design, co-production, maintenance collaboration, and mutual support in crisis response. Under Mahasagar, India's defense industrial transformation seeks to extend such cooperation beyond our shores, enabling friends and partners to strengthen their maritime presence and indigenous design, affordable technologies, and sustainable support systems. True capacity, after all, is not what a nation accumulates, but what a region aggregates. Third pillar is capability enhancement. Capability resides not merely in assets, but in how they are employed through doctrine, training, interoperability, and resilience. The most sophisticated platform is only as effective as the concepts that animate it and the people who command it. Enhancing capability, therefore, demands a shift from platform-centric to purpose-centric thinking. It calls for doctrines that anticipate hybrid threats, training that fosters initiative and adaptability, and interoperability that allows navies to operate as one in moments that matter. The successful month-long deployment of an Indian naval ship as Indian Ocean Ship Sagar to Southwest IOR with a mixed crew of about 44 personnel from 9 Indian Ocean region countries in April and May of this year is a pioneering endeavor in this direction. Indo-Pacific regional dialogue involving maritime stakeholders across the region, including naval and coast guard commanders, policymakers, thinkers, and scholars, offers us an ideal forum to convert such collective ideas into collaborative actions. As we deliberate over the next 2 days, I am confident that this dialogue will create new convergences and stimulate ideas and solutions to our shared problems. After all, as Voltaire exhorted, no problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. I wish the event every success in charting new pathways of thought, collaboration, and action. May IPRD 2025 help us sail beyond the turbulence of the present into the tranquility of a secure and sustainable maritime future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you all the best. Have a great IPRD 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your thoughtful address will certainly inspire and inform the discussions ahead. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for all of us to have the Chief of the Naval Staff recognize and acknowledge the research scholarship of the NMF by his consent to release the NMF's latest publication, authored by Captain K.S. Vikramaditya, Senior Fellow at the National Maritime Foundation, whom, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to invite on stage and introduce to you. This book, entitled Future Maritime Warfare, presents a compelling and forward-looking analysis of how emerging technologies, from artificial intelligence and cyber systems to space and unmanned platforms, are reshaping the character of conflict at sea. I now respectfully request the Admiral to kindly do the honors. Thank you very much, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you all to join me in thanking the Chief of the Naval Staff as he resumes his seat in the audience. Please give the Admiral a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.